Today is day 28 of my 30-day Godot challenge, and I'm going to show you the spawner I made. So let's hop over to my Lost Hearts project and go check that out.
So before I get into anything else, let me show you the spawner right now. So here it is. Here's the checkpoint. I've already showed you. So this is the spawner. If I get close enough, it activates. It starts to spawn things. If I hit it, it starts to take damage. This spawner actually will only ever spawn 3 slimes. Oop. There's that. So I've made this. There we go. So this is the spawner. This is the mini boss for the last part. For the last part of the tutorial level. And of course that flew over there. And there we go. So that's it. That's the spawner. So let's hop into the actual code of this real quick, and I'll show you what it do. So, script for spawner. Okay, so without getting too any detail about this, it has a max amount of spawns. Spawner ID is actually kind of special. I'll go over that in a bit. So, active distance, that's how many pixels the player has to be before the actual spawner activates. Function is active, so it gets the player in the tree, gets the player position, and gets the distance too. If it isn't activated, then it'll activate, and it's activated is true, so it activates one and it stays on. So, and then spawning happens at the end of a timer, I believe. So let me open up that. Clearly I'm super prepared for this. Where is it? There it is, slime spawner. Yeah, time spawn is, yeah. So at the end of a timeout, it calls spawn scene. So increases number of spawns, so I know how many spawns are actually out there. It creates an instance. So here's some of like this stuff that was tough for me to find out, tough for me to figure out. So when a new spawn's added to a group called spawner ID. Spawner ID is a string that's an export variable. So what spawner ID does is it not only puts it in a group, the spawn into a group, it's also a new variable in the enemy script, and so is spawned. So let's hop over to the enemy script and I'll show you that. So, if the enemy is spawned using a spawner, is true. Spawner ID is equal to the spawner ID of the spawner. So what happens, and then a new signal called is dead. So if it is spawned via a spawner and not placed in the map, then it automatically connects the signal is dead to the parent, because the parent's name is spawner ID. Yeah, I set this parent's name to the spawner ID. So the parent's name is spawner ID, so it automatically connects the spawned item to the spawner. Then if we go all the way down to dead, if dead, emit signal is dead. And because it's sending is dead to its unique spawner name, it's telling its spawner that it's dead. So that means it can -1. It can -1 from number of spawns, and then it'll spawn another one. So that's what's happening. That's the code. That was quite trigger for me to figure out how to get something to emit a signal, an instance to emit a signal back to its parent. Sorry, it's early in the morning. Back to its parent. And my concern was if I had just given it a generic name, then if I had multiple spawners like in the same area, then they'd both be getting the signal and they both wouldn't be spawning as many enemies as I wanted to. If I ever wanted to expand this game past the tutorial level, then I couldn't do that. So now each spawner is given a unique ID from whoever places the spawner, me, and then it gets added to a unique group and it sends a signal back to the unique spawner. Hopefully that makes sense, because it took me a bit to figure out that that's the way I wanted to do it, or that's the only way I could figure out how to do it. There might be another elegant solution, but I don't know about it. So that's it for today. We'll hop into the outro and I'll tell you what's in store for day 29 of this challenge I've given myself.
So that's day 28 done. For day 29, I'm going to create the actual heart that the player collects at the end of each level, and I'm going to start blocking out the level. What I've been playing around in now is a testing ground to test elements of the game, but is an actual tutorial level. So I'm going to start building that out. So hopefully I see you in the next video to check that out. If you don't, that's okay too. Have a good day or night wherever you are. Goodbye.
And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication.